And welcome back to the Nose Plays in the Space 2. I made a couple of adjustments to a few things on my hardware and software side, so hopefully we don't have any weird issues this time around. We're going to try to run through another hour or so, hour and a half, of this playthrough I started yesterday that was going pretty well. And we'll see if we can't transition and pivot to the military aggression that I was intending before my game sort of locked up. So we'll see how this goes. First things first, I got to replay part of turn 27 because this is the turn that locked up on us. So um, actually, it looks like our patrol ship is donezo. We didn't get it off in time. So the pirates did end up catching up with me this time around, where before I think we were able to get this ship out of there. I'm not going to watch this. We'll just fight and he'll die. It's unfortunate, but not unexpected. Alright, and then we saw this before. So the Lumeris have taken over these guys. We also have a potential opportunity to take over them, but they're also being seduced by the Lumeris. So we may end up having to deal with both of these guys militarily as well. That might be the first order of business, as opposed to fighting Horatio, is to grab that and then try to bargain with the Lumeris. Or just wipe them out. My guess is that they are part of a constellation out this way, and so because of that, they could be quite large. We really don't know anything about them yet. We still haven't uncovered the entirety of our constellation with at least one star lane heading that direction. But we're getting awful close to being able to do some things here. Let's see, yeah, they're gaining quite a bit per turn, as are these guys. So there's a chance we could grab one or both of those as well. Oh yes, and then our hero. Our hero was waiting around for a probe, because if I'm not mistaken, we have one curiosity here that we need to grab. And so we'll wait. I'll just put her to sleep. And then when she gets probes, that should give us an alert message. Trader's Reach is 9 turns away, and Syaf is 3 turns away. So we're getting awful close to having our 3rd and 4th colony down, which will be good. If we look at our overall score, we're like right in the middle of the pack, towards the bottom, but not at the bottom. Horatio and an Unknown Empire are well below us. And then there's quite a few in the 30s and 40s, and one in the 50s. The highest score I see is 170, which is the Lumeris, and that probably has to do with the fact that they just grabbed this, and that boosted their score quite a bit. So they're probably sitting on at least 3, maybe 4 colonies with the score like that at this point in the game. And then actually there's another one down at the bottom that's 81 and 85, so they're not even the most powerful. But we'll soon catapult ourselves back into the lead, I think. Yeah, we have this quest running. I don't even... That's this system, I guess. So it's unlikely to pass because of this ship. I guess, could I make it there in one turn? No. As I say, if I could make it here in one turn, I could blockade this trade route, or this star lane, I mean, and send him back the other way, potentially. But as it stands, this is probably not going to pass. Alright, is there anything else I needed to do this turn? We got Plasma Metallurgy in one turn. What did we have queued up for our next tech? I don't see anything. Ash Worlds was definitely on my short list, and I guess we do have this queued up as our next tech. So we were going to get the military tech and start unlocking some of this. We might also consider getting efficient shielding, and maybe spin projects isn't bad once your populations get a little bigger. Also, we do have some barren worlds in some of our systems, I believe. Let's just double check that. I don't even remember. Terran, Savannah, and Toxic. So Toxic is the one that I gotta pay attention to. Ash World here. Boreal and Terran. If we were to get this one, this is going to be Arid and Boreal. And then these guys had Forest, Ice, and Barren. So that's the Barren I was probably remembering. Snow, Ice, and Monsoon. Also Jadonics, which I really like. And then Gemini was sort of a hot system with an Ash and a Lava, and then two Gassy boys. I really don't like this system, but it could be reasonably good if we get enough population on it to take advantage of all that industry. It'll be hard to keep population there because of the food issues. So right now I'm thinking we may want to just militarize the ships that we have and use those to start waging some war. And then if we get in a position where our ships are not being effective, we can swap them for the higher tier ones. Alright, let's go ahead and end this turn. Not sure why that did that again. Sort of froze. Diplomatic relations have changed with the Hishu and with these guys and with the Epistis. Alright. And we now have a probe here that we can launch. That's actually pretty good for us. Perfected slugs. We can use that as a weapon. Probably slightly better than the weapons that we have. And then I was going to send her this way to try to finish scouting some of the curiosities we have down on the end of this lane. So we'll get her on her way.
I greet you in the name of the four families.
Alright, so we found the Lumeris. One of the most important things that we do, because of these guys being already... we're going to try to assist them. Explore ruin-type curiosities to discover Iskvala. Okay. Let's double-check and see if any of these are ruins. We could just rush to it. So we've got a ruin here and a subterranean there. We've got life form, atmospheric, ruins here, and a signal. And then finally we have ruins and a signal. So there are 3 ruins on this chain, so there's a pretty good chance that one of those is going to finish that quest. Unfortunately, her engines... Well, she's got engines of 9, but that's a pretty long trip. I did improve her engines, right? Yeah, we're running 2 of the improved engines. Alright. So she'll try to take care of that quest. And then both of these guys pass 25%. I got about 3 turns on each of them before I want to spend more influence. So we'll go ahead and let that run. Cerebral Reality was completed. That's good for us. And Metallurgy was completed. That's also very good for us. I'm going to go ahead and queue up the Metallurgy building. Because all of our population is on this planet with the strategics, this building is pretty efficient. As long as you have a planet with high population and strategics, you can get a lot of use out of this. But if you don't put your population on that planet, it's not as good. So we'll go ahead and get that made. And then Trader's Reach again, we're down to 8 turns. This might have lost a turn. Yeah. So we were at 3, now we're down to 1 because the food delivery boosted us up. So we're in pretty good shape here. This will be next turn. And we're going to stockpile both of these resources for a little bit and then use those resources to buy out the early stuff that we need to get this off the ground. Go ahead and get him moving. We discovered a new system over here. Lots of curiosities, but only one reasonably good planet to start with. We'll think about jumping constellations at another point, though. Right now, I really want to get my main hub established and then start branching out in one of these 2 directions. Alright. Technology unlocked. So we now have some new tech. That'll be helpful. And this was failed as I predicted on probably like the last turn, which sucks. Can't quite buy that out. We do not have... Okay. So colonize that next. That's worth 20 industry because of the temperate. Once this building is completed. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. This is what we need to do. There we go. Okay, so that'll be completed in 1 turn. That will shave quite a few turns off of this, and then this, and then there are no strategics on this system, so this is less valuable until really the population's maxed out. So then we'll probably transition to these 2. And I can actually buy out one of these 2. So then the question is which of these 2? And I guess the answer is basically always going to be this one, right? Food and industry. Go ahead and buy that out. And then we need that. And then just queue these things up because there's nothing else going on. I don't want to forget to have them built. We've gained control of our constellation, so that's increasing our dust output by 15%, so that's pretty good. And big data shipyards, that's going to help us quite a bit. In our primary capital, we're going to want to build that pretty quickly. And that's going to give us the ability to build better ships. Alright, and so we're at turn 29. We have 20% of the galaxy explored. When I play on smaller maps, I can get to this a little bit faster. Also, using 2 of these helps that happen as well. But with just one ship, we've managed to get 20% of the galaxy explored. No probes, just one ship with basic engines. This is worst case scenario, and we're before turn 30. We have 20% of the galaxy explored. So this is pretty good. My little strategy has proven time and time again with these little settler ships outfitted with nothing but engines. Obviously, we got the gun on this one because United Empire. But with these little roadrunners or whatever you want to call them, all they do is just run down star lanes and reveal all the nodes. And they do a pretty good job of it, and you just set them on auto explore and forget about them, and 20, 30 turns later, you have all of this map uncovered. So it's a really, really handy way. And it's most effective in the early game because the first 50 turns of the game, there are very few factions that are going to be aggressive or really able to be aggressive with you. Even pirates don't show up till like turn 12 to 15. So you can get quite a bit done with one of these ships before it gets caught and blown up. Um, if you get into the later game and you really want to do this, another thing you can do is add stealth modules. Pirates can still reveal stealth modules, um, but the rest of the factions will basically ignore you. So that's something to keep in mind for your future gameplays. Alright. I don't think it's time to design ships yet. We are going to design several different classes of ship from our basic patrol design, but I'm going to wait until we have a little bit more tech done. Alright, hold at least 3 systems of level 2 or higher. This gives us even more industry, so we're basically getting our industry engine online. And doing a pretty good job of it so far. We got the 60 potatoes. That's actually good for us. Potatoes are the population booster for the United Empire. Maintain at least 3 industrialist laws for 10 turns. So in order to do that, we're going to have to unlock some more laws. That will come from filling out 1/4 of the tech tree. But at the moment, I guess we are still trying to get Trader's Reach. So once Trader's Reach completes, we can stop running this and maybe run one of these other laws. Actually, we haven't unlocked any really good laws. Mineral Miser's Act is okay, but it's not great. Decreasing tensions lead to increase in luxury prices. Well, that's actually not bad for us. Let's take a look at the marketplace real quick, and let's look at luxury resources, and so we can see basically all the luxury resources have kind of gone up. So all the prices are going up. Let's take a look at what we actually have. So I've got 13 dark glitter and 14 transvine. I could wait a couple of turns and then sell this transvine. There's quite a few empires that are making purchases here. So, oof, 85 Jadonics for 2K. So the price of Jadonics go down? It still actually went up. Somebody else is buying it, right? Sold 85. Did anybody buy Jadonics? Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I'm going to need some more Jadonics, but we're making 4 a turn. We should have more than 20. It'll only take 2 turns to get to 20. And then we'll be able to drop the system development on Trader's Reach when that gets finished. So I think we're going to hold on to this for a little bit. We're just going to let this run. There is one thing I wanted to look at, though. Go back to this. So this is basically just giving us the demand for these things. This is the little quest thing that popped up or whatever. Event, I guess. Trader resources. We don't really have anything here that we need to do, so let's just get our ships moving. Ooh, another miner sieve. Alright, what do we got? First contact. Let's go ahead and do 2 of those and get them up. 1 turn of praise left here, and 1 turn of praise left here. So as soon as these guys fall off, we'll go ahead and grab that. This quest is still happening, so we're working on that. As soon as she gets over there, we can check the first one in 2 turns. Alright, and then we have to choose an objective. Colonize or create an outpost on 3 unique planets in less than 30 turns. 2 of 3. Okay. And we discovered 4 systems, so we now have the scavenged ram scoops. That's actually a really decent engine. We'll be putting that on most of our ships from now on. It's better than the engine that we have, especially if you can double them up. I have tested it, and the bonus for the scavenged ram scoops does stack, so it makes it incredibly effective. If you can stack them. Not as good if you can only throw 1 on, but still better than the basic engine that matches its speed, obviously. What else do I want to do? Is there anything? I'm gonna get that next. So atmospheric filtration is next. I don't particularly need atmospheric filtration right this second. There are a couple of things that would be more beneficial to me in the short term. Neural robotics is actually really good because we get this nice industry building. Also, trade companies can be fantastic because this solves all your dust problems. And then we needed to run more laws, and so to do that we need to get over into this tree. Botanical scanning is going to help growth on our systems. Xenology is going to give us more opportunities to build spin projects once populations have grown some, which gives us more influence to spend on things. And then military tech, we definitely need both of these. And honestly, if I'm going to be building ships in the very near future that do anything useful for me, I'm thinking we buy this. Titanium slugs. This will give us some powerful siege ships. Let's just throw both of those in the queue for now. Out of curiosity, yeah, 8 turns is too long. Let's just get these quick and easy ones, and then we'll worry about the next step. Alright. Is it this turn that we can scout the first ruin? I think it's next turn. We have a... Black market quest. A Assign a hero of at least level 5 on Saif, Shaddai, and Nis. One thing that I'm not certain of is whether this has to be done all at the same time or if you can use the same hero and assign them to each one of these one at a time. So you can't do it all in one turn, but let's say I have a hero of level 5, I assign him to one of these systems, and then after 8 turns or whatever the lock is, move him to the next, and then move to the next. I don't know if that will finish this quest. Reaching 60 approval on all 3 of these systems is actually really easy to do. And so we're just going to take this one. And this is one of those scenarios where we can just pass Toys for Boys for like 1 turn, and it will complete that quest, and we'll get a free random tech. He finally leveled up again, and at the moment we're really struggling for food, so I'm going to go ahead and put some points into this. Getting some more food in industry is always a good thing. It's not going to be a lot, but until I can break out of what I'm doing and build some food buildings, we're just not going to grow very fast, unfortunately. This event has ended, right? Yes. So that's going to help us get our approval above 60. The -10 approval in all systems is now gone. Big data shipyards has been completed, so now we can start building ships. And atmospheric filtration has been completed, so now we can colonize ash worlds. Let's take a look at Nis real quick. I want to go ahead and get this done. I'll let public-private partnerships finish, and then we want to build this in every system, like ASAP. Shaddai needs to build this. And we want to keep buying stuff out as quickly as possible. But maybe cerebral reality? Yeah, let's go ahead and buy out the cerebral reality. Ah, that was a mistake. Damn it. I need... Well, actually, it's not that bad. I need to buy some more of this. Alright. And then this guy, yeah, we don't need to buy, but we're not quite there yet. So next turn we'll make it here. We can scout the first curiosity, hopefully. Not get attacked by the Lumeris. Explore, yeah. Explore ruin type curiosities. Okay, so we're good with all of this. It looks like my scout ship has sort of run out of lanes. There is one over here, so this is probably where he's heading. But before he gets there, what I want to do is redirect him to one of our home systems, and I can retrofit him to be more valuable to me. We can go ahead and take a look at that design. We'll just go ahead and throw on something like that. This gun is only for blockading in very, very rare circumstances. It's not going to be used for fighting, so I'll leave it on for now. But I'm not going to upgrade it to a more powerful weapon. It's just not really worth my time. A minimum of 1 weapon is required in order to blockade a system. So that's good to know if you ever want to blockade. But we'll redesign that ship once he gets home, which will take a couple of turns. And then we can go ahead and start designing some ships now if we wanted to. So let's think about what we have here. So I have a couple of different weapons. These are the best slug weapons I have. I also have some laser weapons that... let's turn on the details here. So this is the actual DPS. When you mouse over the cards, it'll show you damage per second, but that's assuming 100% accuracy, and you rarely have 100% accuracy when you're playing. And so you can see that the only time we're actually getting that DPS is at medium range with this weapon. Same thing is true with this weapon. It shows a DPS of 54, but we actually never get that because these weapons never have 100% accuracy. So at best, we get 46, 27, and 5. This is still better at medium range than the lasers are. It's just really bad at long range. It's like half as good at long range, but slightly better at medium range and devastatingly good at short range. So running 2 of these probably works just fine. One of the downsides to using these as military class ships is they only have 40 manpower on the ship, so they're not very good for sieging. But you can fix that by using a manpower module, which boosts them up to 90. And so now this ship is almost as good in some ways as the Tier 1 offensive ship. We can also throw some hull plating on there, and then we can throw an engine on here. And so this is actually pretty respectable. It's still going to lose if you have equal footing against Tier 1 offensive class ships and defensive class ships, but it's not going to lose like dramatically in many cases. And if you have, say, better weapons, or you have more numbers, like more of these than the enemy has, you outnumber them, then there's actually a pretty good chance that you can win. You'll win with attrition, so you'll lose some ships in the process, but these are very, very good ships, even if you're behind militarily, if you outfit them properly. Now, obviously, if they outfit their ships to counter ours, that could be problematic. And the counter to a ship like this is going to be if somebody takes advantage of the fact that we suck at long range by putting, say, a whole bunch of good laser weapons and beam weapons on their ships, then what they can do is, if they engage us at long range, they can do enough damage at long range that they blow up some of our ships. And then when they go into medium range, even though we're going to start to out damage them, our numbers have fallen off, and so it might be a more even fight at that point, and we can lose some more ships. And so that's basically the counter to slug weapons. If somebody is exclusively using slugs, you just have to get decent lasers or beams, outfit all your ships with them, and then always engage at long range and force ships to fight at long range so that they can't take advantage of their weapons in the first phase of combat. Alright. Cancel. I don't want to... So what are we going to call this ship? We'll call this ship the Rogue. And that will be a good offensive ship that we need to start building. Now I can start building them here as soon as I get this sci-fi design school down. And I want to build probably at least 2 to start with, and maybe up to 4. But I'll start with 2, and we'll see how that goes. Is there anything else I need to do this turn? I don't think so. Ryan Quinn asks, do you ever use missiles in the chat? Yes. Missiles are absolutely a powerful tool to use, but they're very, very specific. There's a very specific use case where they work. Missiles are really, really good against enemies that only have energy weapons. And the reason for that is Missiles are super effective at long range, and energy weapons provide no defense against missiles. So if you ever run into pirates in particular, because they're the ones that most likely do this, where they only have energy weapons like lasers and beams, all you have to do is throw a couple missiles and engage them at long range, and the missiles will decimate them in the first round of combat. The problem with torpedoes is that while they're extremely effective against their counter, they're also countered extremely effectively by slug weapons. So any fleet that has a handful of these slug weapons, like I just put on my ships, they will shoot the missiles down before they reach their targets the vast majority of the time. Tier for tier, if you're even in tier weaponry, the missiles will pretty much always get shot down if you have a couple of slug weapons in your fleet. Um, there is a way to overcome that through numbers. So if you just outfit a whole bunch of ships with torpedoes, you can actually shoot so many of them that the slug weapons can't shoot them all down, and they can still be pretty effective. And Riftborn actually are one of the best factions to try that strategy because they have more weapon slots than any other faction on their ships. So they can just shoot massive swarms of missiles at enemies, and they're very effective that way. But for the most part, they're too easy to counter, and they're too unreliable because of that in the early game. That there's only a very few specific work scenarios where that they work. Now, when you get later in the game, things become a little bit more muddy because if you get missiles at like way higher tier than say what people are able to run slugs for, then they're more likely to bust through the defenses, the flak defenses. And so basically the rock paper scissors rule of thumb only really works if you're talking ships of the same quantity with the same number of weapon slots at the same tier of technology. As you shift those things around, the numbers get a little bit more muddy, and you can get away with using weapons against their counter if you're high enough in technology or you have way more numbers than they do. But general rule of thumb is missiles are super easy to counter and are a pretty bad choice in the early game. Alright, I'm going to move on to the next thing that I was doing, which was, I think, hitting the end turn button. We're all good for this turn. Good question, though. A lot of people have that question. I have several videos that talk about it. In fact, I just had a conversation with one of my viewers in the chat on one of my videos about that same thing. This was actually achieved probably because the -10 approval from Call a Spaceman a Spaceman event fell off. You're welcome, Ryan. Glad you could join me today. So we got Astro Finance for free. That's going to be actually pretty good for us because a lot of our planets have luxury resources. The problem that we have right now is that we don't have any food buildings down, and so our population is growing very slowly, which kind of sucks. And the Horatio took over the Yusho, so we've lost them as an ally. But maybe we're going to grab the Sisters of Mercy here. Let's take a look. I've got 3 probes.
We've seen eels more trustworthy than you.
Let's just minimize this for now. Go ahead and grab that. Alright, I got a basic pinch beam. I can go ahead and grab both of these. And I still have a little bit of engine, so we should be able to get out of their territory. And now they're not mad at us anymore, and we don't have to deal with that diplomatic thing. There were 2 more ruins over here that we're going to try to grab before these guys get snatched up, but it's looking like we may fall just short, and we're going to have to do this all militarily, which is fine. We're going to be capable of doing that pretty quickly here. I've got almost all of the industry buildings built at this point, so we're going to be able to outdo everything. We'll be able to outbuild everybody between the Jadonics and all the industry buildings, the extra industry building that we got through our quest, um, our faction quest for choosing to be United Empire. Let's go ahead and... Do I need to end the turn yet? Is there anything else I need to do? He's moving back here. Yeah, we just need to end some turns. I'm a little curious why I clicked these end turns and they're not actually ending. Something weird is going on. There it goes. That's twice in this video now that I've clearly clicked the button and nothing happened. 2 Calgaroos. I'm actually happy about that. We need population badly. Where did they end up? Does it tell me? Nis. Okay. That's actually really good. And we were not part of the military quest that got these cool rewards, but that's okay. I don't care that much. Yeah, 2 population on Nis. This is colonizing, so we'll get this in 1 turn. So even though we're starting to sort of overpopulate this planet, we'll be able to move people over here when we need to. Nis is moving along just fine. In fact, so fine that we probably want to go big data shipyards here and then start building some ships over here as well. I don't really need to worry about that. New luxury resource discovered. We've lost control, so somebody has more systems than we do. So we have 3. We know that Horatio just grabbed Chang. So he might have another one over here somewhere that puts him at 4. I think if I zoom out, you need 5 to own this. So yeah, somebody else is definitely at 4. And it looks like blue. We can mouse over, we can see which AI has control over it, and it's actually the Sophons. So the Sophanity, this could stretch back pretty far if they have 5. There's a lot of area we haven't uncovered on this one constellation. Alright. Well, that being the case, let's go ahead and make one of these. It'll only take us 2 turns to make this, and that'll give us 2 scouts, and I can send one of them down this lane and then one of them back over here to finish this. And because we have a pirate over here, we can actually send it all the way over there if we wanted to. So we'll get a lot of scouting done here pretty soon. Alright, so we did get some population growth. Did get basic swarm missiles, which actually are kind of okay. In fact, it might be worth throwing on some of our ships just as a hedge against long-range attacks. The damage per second on swarm missiles is really bad, though. Yeah, I'm not really a fan. There are a couple other scenarios where it sort of makes sense to use them. Alright, we got one. We need to scout the ruin. Alright, cool. I think that did it. Ooh, titanium enhancer. This is another way to make your patrol ships that are not really offensive class ships into better ones, is to use an enhancer. So 25% extra projectile damage and more crit chance is pretty significant on those slugs that we have. It comes at the cost of having lower manpower, which can be problematic, especially if you're trying to siege. Alright, cool. did get that done. So we're up to 4 now. And we also got some ships. I don't think they're any good, but we'll take a look. That needs to happen very quickly. These both need to happen. That needs to happen. That needs to happen. And then we'll go from there. That's going to take a little while, but not too long. And then we got some more, so we'll finish scouting over here. What kind of ships are these? Shuttles? One thing I can do with these shuttles, they're really crappy in terms of their mobility. They have an upkeep of 6 apiece, 6 and 7 actually. We could just sell them and get back some manpower and dust. And actually, that's not a bad idea because we're running negative all of a sudden. Let's go ahead and scrap those. That helps a little bit. I'm curious why we're running negative. I don't have hacking in this game. I disabled the hacking, so it's mostly from military upkeep. And yet we don't even have hardly any military ships. Curious. I still haven't found another unique planet, so we can't complete this quest at the moment. If we do see one, we need to consider grabbing it very quickly. Also, I believe I could colonize Gemini now, and that might be worth doing. Even though Gemini is not a great system, it does prevent Horatio from grabbing it. And yeah, let's consider that. And actually, before I do that, let's go to the colony design. And let's upgrade the engines on it. Really. And then let's go ahead and throw it in here. And that might give it enough movement to actually finish in a single turn. That star lane. Get in there. We'll throw him right there. Okay. We're in a pretty good spot again. It's just taking a little time. Booster. Population booster. We need 8 potatoes. I thought we had a reward. How much are potatoes? Yeah, I should have sold those. Prices have started to come back down. See, we saw prices go up for a little while and then they dropped pretty significantly, pretty quickly after they rose. Super spuds are actually pretty cheap. If I bought 8 of them, I'm trading 141 dust to produce a very small amount of extra influence per turn. 8 extra influence times 10, 80. I get 80 influence for 141 dust. That's not really worth it, so we're going to pass on that. I need to get potatoes some other way.
You're one of our favorite fish in this galactic sea.
They're welcoming. What they don't understand is that they have part of my territory. Imperials. Philip says, while playing the Vaulters, I always rush the Tier 2 system upgrade with Titanium and then wait for Tier 3 and Tier 4 until I have Quadronics and Endless Foundries to stack up those percent multipliers. What do you think about that strategy? I would say, as a very knowledgeable Vaulter player, that using titanium as your tier 2 system upgrade is almost always the right call. The only time that I would consider using anything else besides titanium is if I started in a system that had Jadonics, because Jadonics is amazing. And because there are so many things that you have to spend titanium on as a vaulter, that anywhere you can reduce the amount that you're spending and not take too much of a penalty, I think you should. Um, that being said, the choice between titanium and Jadonics is not always an easy one either, because they both have their advantages. Um, one provides more industry, one provides a little bit less, but also provides a significant amount of food and helps their systems grow in population faster. And in particular cases, like say a system like Gemini, well, we're not really hurting if we were to colonize this for industry, but we are hurting for food. And so having system development that gives me the food to get this growing so that we can take advantage of all these nice industry slots is really important. So even if I had Jadonics, but like this was like one of my 2 or 3 early systems that I had to colonize, I might consider using titanium anyways. But yeah, I think your plan to rush titanium as a system upgrade is spot on. Um, Using the tier 3 and tier 4 for quadronics, I think it's more iffy. Everything later in the game gets more iffy. It's more situational, and it really depends on what's going on. The percent bonuses are really good at systems that are really well established and have lots and lots of resources and population. But the flat bonuses can be almost as good, if not better, in many cases. So when you're rushing to those, you really need to do the math, not just on your best systems, but on the ones that are like really far behind. Because one of the things that helps slingshot systems is flat bonuses early on that you can buy out for cheap. And the system developments are always ones you can buy out for cheap. And so if you can get some flat boosted stats as soon as like a tier 1 system goes down, to where it basically functions like one that's been around for 15 or 20 turns later in the game, that's way better than getting slightly better returns on your well-established systems that are already having a hard time keeping up with their output, because you're making ships that you don't need to make because they have nothing else to do, or you're building buildings that just don't really help you, but you got nothing else to do. So keep that in mind before you go rushing directly to the quadronics tier 3, tier 4. The all of the metals and strategics that you can use are really good for vaulters and system development, though. They're almost never going to be a bad choice. They just might not always be the optimal choice. And it really is dependent on your situation as the game gets more complicated and you get further into it. It just depends on what's going on around you. So hopefully that clears up my position on it. Good question. Appreciate it. Alright, we're going to finish off the curiosities here. Remnant population. Okay. That's one way to get our population growing, is just get a whole bunch of transplants between the Calgaroos, the remnants, and everything else. There is still a chance we can get the Epistis as well. Now, one thing I need to be aware of at this point is how close we're getting to this number. We're 4 of 8, so we've got a ways to go. So we need to just keep rushing. And so that's why I think rushing this colony ship is going to be fine to get Gemini. Alright. You can go to sleep until you have more probes. We'll need to retrofit her ship. Once we get her over to our colony. New technologies unlocked. Alright, so we got our first real battleships. And by battleship, I mean ships that are capable of battle, not ships that are battleships. We're still a little ways away from that. I'm going to go ahead and grab planetary landscaping. This is just a good building to get some easy food on systems. And because we're grabbing a system that has really shitty food, I really need this building to keep the population to even start to grow. And then one of the tricks that I use for systems like this crappy one we're about to grab that has lots of industry but no food is if you throw this building down and you keep the population to your original empire population, you can actually produce enough food to get growth on that system, even though there's no food on any of the planets. So this is a really good building to consider in systems that struggle with food. Maybe it's a system with a bunch of cold planets or a bunch of hot planets. But whatever the case, if you have a system that's not growing, this can be a good building to help get it to grow. Alright, so this guy finally made it here. We can upgrade him. And then I'm going to take him and send him back this way. This ship. Need to put him out of the hangar. Send him over here. And those engines were enough to get across that lane in one turn. Unfortunately, this jackass already created an outpost on my world. So, this is the reason why... Oh, this one doesn't have the gun. Okay, I need a gun. The fastest way for me to get a gun is going to be to run back. Run back here, retrofit a gun onto this ship, and then come back here and start blockading. This is one of the reasons why having guns on those other ships, I can blockade things like this. So like this ship that we just sent back down the star lane could blockade this and slow down the growth of the colony, or even potentially remove the colony. Yeah, we're just a little late. A little bit late on that. But another population. What was it? Ooh, an amoeba. I like the amoeba. Alright, well this system's growing quite quickly. Already at 5 pop here next turn. Let's see. What else do we need to do? Somebody else was building... Yeah, you're going to build me another scout ship. I can send that scout ship over here as well. And he has a gun. Let's go ahead, before I forget... Let's go ahead and... Let's go ahead and upgrade this gun. And then on the colony ship... Let's do the same. I don't know that that's going to have a huge impact on the amount of sieging that we get done, but it can't hurt. Alright, you need to go to sleep for another turn. And...
You have offended the most perfect. As Horatio,
I can ask him to
we are
remove this
most
outpost.
vexed.
He will probably say
Your
no.
offensiveness drives Horatio to anger and distraction.
This will reduce the cost of going to war for 10 turns, which we should definitely consider. Just need to make sure that we keep track of that. And you can see by just grabbing a couple of things, so we're now up at 256. We're in second place on our overall score. And that's going to fluctuate a little bit based on the number of ships that you have out and a few other things, but we're moving in the right direction. Diplomatic relations have changed with the Epistis. We got eukaryotic sap for free from this event that we took, Curiosity, that we took a while back. So that's good. Eukaryotic sap gives us free approval as well as snow worlds, I think, and a couple other things. We also got the amoeba population finishing this event and giving us some more influence. Let's take a look at eukaryotic sap. So it gives us snow worlds, 5 extra approval on all planets, and the H-Field Accelerator, which gives your entire fleet extra movement. This can only be equipped on hero ships, but it's really good if you do. It just helps the whole fleet move a little faster. So, pretty good little probe there. Alright, that's done. We got our first rogue completed, and the food building's completed, and now we need to look at what's next. So, guess it's time to decide. Are we ready for any of these? Arid world's kind of important. I haven't seen any step worlds. The probes would be nice, but not critical. I only need 1 tech to move up a tier. I know we're going to need arid worlds eventually, because the minor civ that we picked up had an arid planet that we need to colonize. Science techs are meh. But this does give us access to desert and terraforming. Also endless secrets. I don't think that's critical though. What could be good is jumping up to one of these techs and getting some better weapons. These are significantly better than the weapons that we currently have. They have a crit chance and a 76% DPS when they're 100% accurate, which they never are. But we could also go with the energy weapons. But we do have a kinetic enhancer. Another thing to keep in mind is that there is a quest where we get these Genji lasers, something like that. And I think that's coming up. Philip asks, when playing the Umbral Choir, can you have your special population spawn in Sanctuary, or are they limited to your home system? The special population can only be recovered to your home system. One thing that I'm not 100% sure of that I haven't... I don't think there's any way to use like the transports to send your special population to other locations. So like with other factions, you get the spaceport and you can move your population pips into the spaceport and then ship them to other locations. I don't believe that the Umbral Choir have the ability to do anything like that. The only thing that they can do is create the super sleepers and then bring them back onto their home system. But there are multiple ways to expand population slots on your home system and get to where you can have a really massive population on that one system. So That's what I think as far as I have played. It's been a while since I played with the Umbral Choir. Um, but I did do a video last year where I tested some of my original strategies when they first came out, and most of them were still working really, really well. So if you're interested in knowing how I play Umbral Choir, check out my 3 videos that I have, or 3 series of videos that I have on them on my channel. They're pretty good. Snowballing your early game is one of the most viewed Umbral Choir videos on YouTube, as far as I'm aware. So let's see. I'm having a hard time deciding what to do technology-wise here. I think what we need to do is start going down this tree, because I can't complete my quest to get to the next tier of rewards where these lasers probably reside until I get 3 laws running simultaneously. So then the question is, do I even bother with these low-level ships? I think the answer is no. I think what we're going to do is grow food. Ooh. Or maybe we just get our first behemoth. A behemoth would be pretty helpful. And we actually have the industry to put them out. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, they don't have a spaceport. They use their special mechanic with the sanctuaries where they can move population or grow population into a sanctuary from their home system and then bring them back. So, okay. This colony ship needs to be upgraded and needs to go back. And then this ship is okay as it is. Alright, so both of those ships will make it there in time. And then this ship needs to be upgraded. And he can make it there in time as well. So we'll have 3 ships there that can blockade the system. They're not very good militarily, but they're good enough to blockade. And maybe we can push Horatio off of that. Strange fossils. Reveals all the hidden... Okay, there's one there. There's one there. Ooh, another one over here. Wow. That's a difficult system to get onto. Large toxic with a bunch of gas planets. Any other ones? I don't see any other ones. Alright, so it revealed quite a few of the offlying systems. None of them look really exciting. Trader's Reach should be done here pretty soon, right? Yeah, 1 turn. 1 turn away, finally, get Trader's Reach. Turn 37? That's not bad. Turn 37, 1, 2, 3, 4. We almost had 5. And we're about to start our 6th. I think that's okay. That's a reasonable pace. Not the fastest pace I've ever had. Also, these guys, we can assist them now. Take control of a planet in a new system adjacent to Hydrus. Just turn him on auto explore again. Well, that's an interesting idea. So I could take control of JM and gain control of Hydrus at the same time. A twofer, so to speak. We have a colony ship right here. It wouldn't take long to travel over here. I don't know if the colony counts as control. It doesn't specifically say. Take control. You can set up an outpost, trade for it diplomatically, or invade to take control of a new system. So even setting up an outpost will give this to me. How many turns is that going to take? 3 turns if we redirect him to that one instead. We are the sole, what is this called? Ally. Highest ranking ally of this particular faction. This system is trash. But it does have the academy. I don't value the academy very much. This system does have Jade Onyx though. A couple curiosities. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna conquer the whole galaxy anyways, right? Alright, Hero is finally out of curiosities over here, so let's move her over there and start clearing those curiosities, and then we'll move her ship over here probably. Can I buy out anything here that would help accelerate this? Not really. Okay, we'll let that ride. I do need to get this built. That don't take very long. In fact, I might even buy it out. I am gonna 500 for 15 food. And we're making 95 a turn. Why not? We'll just buy that out. That'll help growth. Throw that in the queue. And back over here for now. Alright, that looks okay. Diplomatic relation has changed with this Devians, and Trader's Reach has finally been collected, so we've got all these lovely things that need to be built in quick order, and I can buy that out. Let's move this back in the queue a little bit. Oh. And that needs to happen. Okay. These ships we can merge for the moment. And we can start blockading, and if I go here, we can see that this is actually going to decolonize now, because there's a little skull symbol here. This outpost has negative growth. When its stock reaches 0, the outpost will be removed. So even with just these 2 ships, we're able to blockade enough traffic, so to speak, that it will decolonize, which is what we want. Horatio's not going to be happy about that, but that's fine with me. And then, I guess the question is, do we build another one? I think we do. build another one to replace the one that we're going to use for this and get that system as well. That will also give us control of this constellation. And we'll be in a pretty good spot. Ah, Alex, you had a great suggestion that I did not see. I could have used the colonize here for that instead. Yeah, that would have been, well, it's better once you have the Xeno-industrial infrastructure built. So, yeah, it would have probably been better. Alright, we got behemoths. And then I need one more tech from this tree. I know barren worlds are a thing, but not right this second. I think we are going to go with food and just continue to grow into an industrial powerhouse. Ooh, this is important. Okay. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to get to it in time. We have 14 turns. I could bring my ship back and try to decolonize it in similar fashion. That's the first unique planet that we've found. I only have 22 turns to get it colonized, and it's pretty far away. So I'm guessing we're just not gonna pass this particular. I did look at that one. We're not gonna pass this particular one. I don't believe that Harrow counts as a unique planet. Yeah, there's one technology that we can immediately grab to deal with the overpopulation. We did look at this earlier. We're only at 5 of 8 right now. And to be perfectly honest, I don't care about this penalty. It's not particularly crippling. There are ways to get around it. I don't need to be running this anymore. That is for sure. I do need to run... Well, actually, I do need to run this, don't I? Yeah, I might as well just keep it on. Because as soon as we colonize this, we're going to gain this system. And by having that law in place, we get the approval bonus for like 5 turns. So yeah, I guess it's worth keeping it on for now. But what I was saying, technology-wise, as soon as we get to 8, there's this technology, which will give us +2 more systems, so we get up to 10 before we trigger any approval penalties. And because our approval is so high generally, a lot of that has to do with the colony bonus that's temporary, but still, it's sort of irrelevant. You do start to lose your percent buffs on some of your fidsies as it starts to drop, but as long as you're not dropping below content, it's really not that big of a deal. At least I don't feel it is. Some of my ships actually do have that, so maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we're getting faster. But I was under the impression that it was this one, the Titanium A2S slug, that actually decreases the decolonization rate, not the manpower module. The extra troops, I think it increases your deployment limit and adds additional manpower to the ship, but I don't think it actually affects sieging at all. It's the sieging statistic that matters. There are two things that affect the sieging statistic, to my knowledge. Weapons don't seem to, although a weapon is required to begin a blockade/siege. Um, but it's the number of command points in your fleet. So the more ships you have in your fleet, and then it's the titanium enhancers, or not enhancers, the titanium slugs. So anything like this item that increases sieging um, will reduce. It basically reduces food. And if you get the food below a certain point, it goes negative, and if it goes negative long enough, Maggie lasers. Those are reasonable for early game. How many more did we have? Like 2? 1. So there's one more curiosity here. We'll stay in scout. I could be wrong. There could be some mechanic that has to do with manpower in contributing in some way to the decolonization specifically. But I know for a fact that if you go to a system with higher sieging capabilities, it goes down faster. Um, and sometimes significantly so. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get this guy and send him over here as well. Alright, we're approaching turn 40. And so what I would say at this point in the game is this is all still early game. For me, I know some people like to say like first 20 to 30 turns is early game. But for me, in a game of endless space, really the first 50 turns is early game. When you hit around turn 50, 50 to 100 is what I would consider the mid game. And then 100 to 150 is sort of your end game. Anything past turn 150 is late game. And I think the game is over at turn 200 by default at a normal speed game. So if you get to like turn 200, it might be 300, but I'm pretty sure it's 200 in a normal speed game. Whoever has the highest score basically wins if nobody's completed one of the objectives. But it usually gets pretty snowbally in most cases. It's hard to tell because it doesn't seem like... So it's showing 13 turns, so it's counting down. And so in 13 turns, we should have this decolonized. So as long as this little skull's here, this is how long it will take to decolonize it, even though when I mouse over it, it says the opposite. The tooltip's wrong here. This is the tooltip that you need to read. And so I'm pretty sure that this counter is what we're dealing with. And see, right here, it's showing -2 food, so we're like just barely negative. That's why this is taking longer. Now, when my other ship gets here, we're going to have another command point worth of ships here, and we're going to see this change by some margin. So we'll be able to see next turn exactly how much one rogue is adding to the decolonization. So that'll be helpful. Let's take a look at that. I'll just minimize that for now. I got too many things going on. Alright, let's merge these fleets, and then let's take a look. So now, the food is showing positive again. But it's still saying that it has negative growth. I'm not sure. I think in 2 turns it's still going to decolonize. So we went from 13 turns down to 2 turns. But this doesn't show negative food anymore, so I'm not sure why that is the case. I'll come back and look at it here later in the turn.
Your offensiveness drives Horatio to anger and distraction.
Alright. He doesn't like our blockade, obviously. Okay, this guy has probes. This will be the last probe we get to launch. You can't go to system view on a system you don't own. So this is as far in as you can get. So when I click on here, I can't, there's no zoom past this. I can't get any closer. Yeah, there's nothing else I can zoom to. Because I don't have my own colony here. If I had my own colony here, then I could zoom in and I could see. And then you can use the manpower activate thing to get this to be even lower, to steal food from them, basically. I'll show you over here. So if we go to this system, same thing. This is as far in as I can zoom. Once I colonize it, I can now zoom to this level, and this is one way you can use manpower. If you have a colony, you can use manpower to pull them in. Man, that's going to take forever. Like, star map view is right here. I'm not sure. What I would have expected to see, and this is why it's confusing for me, I would have expected to see with more like this. Yeah, I've never been able to get more information, but what's confusing is clearly the food was negative last turn. We added another ship to this blockade. The counter went down significantly, but the food is still showing as a positive now. So it went from -2 to +18. But instead of being at 12 turns, because it was 13 the turn before, it dropped all the way down to 2. So clearly my ship is reducing this, because this is still here. There's some UI stuff, because the way these tooltips are working, it's just bugged. It doesn't show properly, but you can generally get an idea of if the skull's here, this counter is counting down to decolonization, regardless of what any of this other stuff shows. So in 2 turns, I would expect this system to be no longer Horatio outposted. We'll see if I'm right. That is correct. And if we were able to put an outpost down, we could get more information as well. So for example, if I had access to lava planets and I dropped a colony here and we had an outpost and they had an outpost, then I could zoom in and get more information. But as long as we're just in the air blockading, this is as close as you can get. And because these tooltips are sometimes not 100% accurate or bugged, at least in my opinion, they don't show the information that I think they should be showing me. This is what we get. So it's still enough to figure out what's going on, but it's confusing if you haven't seen it enough times to figure it out. Alright, so in 2 turns this will be gone and we can drop our new colony or our new outpost. I thought we were going to collect this. So it says you can set up an outpost, trade for it diplomatically, or invade. So we actually have to get the outpost to turn into a colony. That's not as exciting at all. could send extra food here to help speed this up, but this is just bad. I was hoping that just getting the outpost would give us Hydrus. I could decolonize it, but I'm pretty sure if I do decolonize it, I'm not going to get my colony ship back. I don't want to spend any influence on that either. We'll figure out a way to accelerate that, but... okay, so you are done, right? There's no more curiosities over here? Correct. This is the arid world that we needed. Okay, so what I'm going to do... we'll send this colony ship over here. Please work. There we go. This might actually drop to 1 now. Nope, still at 2. This number did not change. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to... go to our hero, unassign her, create a new fleet on our capital, and then let's retrofit her ship. So she has a lot of options now. First things first, let's consider giving her the accelerator. Maybe that engine. And then weapon-wise, how do I want to outfit you? I think... do we want Maggie lasers at all? Like, how okay... how good are Maggie lasers at long range? It gives us some, like, 19 versus 10. So if we get forced into, like, long range combat, yeah, let's just do that. So we'll do something like this. I think I'll keep probes on her ship for now. I'm wondering if I ought to do this, though. I'm trying to think. The rogues only have 1 engine. So this is going to provide more movement for the fleet. Apply that design. Send her down the lane. Alex asks, I wonder how other than hero ships are specialized, long, medium, or short combat range. It really depends on your weapon types. I have a general plan of attack for various weapon types. The general rule of thumb for combat in this game is you always engage at long range. There are only a couple of exceptions. One exception is if you're running exclusively slug weapons, then you must engage at short range. Or if the majority of your weapons are slugs, you must engage at short range because they are very inaccurate at any other range, and they will be outcompeted by most other weapons. Missiles are really good at long range, and they're pretty bad at other ranges. So you always, if you're using mostly torpedoes, missiles, you have to do long range. And then it's counterintuitive, but lasers and beam weapons, um, while they're not always the best at long range, they're still better than most of the other things. So even though lasers aren't as good at long range as they are at medium, you still want to use them at long range most of the time, particularly against slugs, because slugs are terrible at long range. And so even though you're doing lower damage at long range with laser weapons than you would at medium, the enemy is doing almost no damage. So you basically get an entire combat phase where you're doing a lot of damage, they're doing no damage. The hope is you have enough firepower to destroy some of their ships before you close to medium range. And then at medium range, slugs and lasers are about even. But if you've already got an advantage, you should still win. As long as you finish them off before short range phase gets engaged. So, general rule of thumb, always use a long range tactic unless you're using slugs. There's a few scenarios where a medium range tactic does make sense, but it's pretty rare and it's pretty moot because you probably still lose even when you do it. But you'll cause more attrition, basically. Alright, I'm going to have to deal with my dog real quick. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. So, let's see. I got her outfitted, I got her moving. This should... So we're literally at one turn, right? No, this is still two. What could this be doing? This could be doing... Let's build a couple more rogues. Notice that our cash flow is pretty bad again. Prices are down. So now it only costs me 63 dust to buy 8 of those. So maybe we should look at this again. How many of these do we have now? I have 11, so I need to buy 11. It's going to give me 22 influence for 10 turns. It's 220 influence for how much dust? That's actually not bad. Let's do that. We can run that booster now. Let me show you what that is. For those of you who don't know, every single population has a unique luxury that they can use as a booster for 10 turns. This doubles the effect, so we were getting 1 per turn on Imperials, now we're getting 2. So that was basically an extra 110. So I guess it wasn't as good of a change as I wanted. But that's one way to get a little bit of extra on some of your populations. It's better if you're collecting the resource yourself instead of buying it. I basically just traded dust for influence is all I did. Yeah, spin projects are pretty good. I would not generally rush spin projects on most factions unless I was in need of influence. It's one of the cheapest and easiest ways to get more influence, especially if you have a planet or two with high population. Whoa, what happened there? There we go. Alright. But you can see our approval is pretty high everywhere. What are we doing here? Definitely need food. This one's more science here, more dust, or not dust, more industry here. NIS could specialize into colonial exchange and make a little bit of extra dust per turn. This planet's not sterile, so it's not super worth it. Unfortunately, this building doesn't really help us, and this building really doesn't help us. So the best thing that this system can be doing at this point is just building fleets. Alright, so... Zhu has antimatter. That makes that a little bit more interesting. This system. I like this system a lot better than this one. In fact... yeah, this sucks. 50 frickin' turns. I guess we'll go ahead and spend that for 10 of them. Do we even have anybody sending food there? Who is sending food there? Nis is sending food there. That's probably the fastest one. How much food are we sending? 120. We could send it from here instead. It'll take longer to get there, though. We could also send it from here, but we wouldn't get it as much. We'll just leave it on this. This has a high population. If it drops a population to send extra food to JM, it's not the end of the world. Alright, we're going to end this turn, and then I'm going to probably end the video here pretty soon. Yes, the negative 39 food, I'll talk about in just a second. I'll explain where that's coming from. Alright, so we got the extra law now. And now we can get some real ships. So what I want to do is get my Hunter class ships and my Coordinator class ships. What do we have more? I think we're even on both of these. Let's go with the Coordinator class ships so we have a nice defensive ship to throw into our fleets. And then we'll surround it with the little patrol vessels. And then eventually I'll get this one as well. But let's start with that. Then let's go to our laws. Okay. It just took a turn for that outpost to be down. Nice! So now I don't feel as bad about taking that one. So we got Hydrus. I can run my third law. We'll run Mineral Miser Act. This is going to put us not even negative. That's great. We're not even negative. We got so much influence. But this 3 laws for 10 turns will get us to the next part of our faction quest. So we should take a look at Hydrus. Alright, so first things first. I can't afford this yet. How much? We're at 14. It'll take 2 turns. Or I could buy some. I need 6. I'll do that, and then we'll sell all of this. That'll give us some money for a couple of turns. I could sell the dark glitter as well. We're not using it, and I don't have plans to use it for anything. So that'll help for a little bit. Alright. Imperial. Okay, so now I can get this done in one turn. We have that. I can colonize this snow world and unlock 2 more Jadonics per turn. But there's no other temperate or fertile tags to benefit this system, so probably just get the basics. Yeah, we'll just throw all those down. That's not the order that we'll probably end up getting them all done in, but that's good enough. Okay, this should be 1 turn away from decolonizing. It is showing 1. And now the food is down to -22. So there was a bug here. It was adding that number wrong. We went from -2 down to -22, which means that each one of these ships that I put here is adding -20 to food. Or something like that. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. The negative dust is only problematic if you do not have the ability to sell things. And so one of the things that I could do, I can make 2,000 dust right now just from selling my titanium. We're not using it, so I'm not going to do that because we don't need it. But if we were to be in need of dust, selling titanium and Hyperium is how we'll solve that problem. We also have income of several luxury resources, and we also have a couple of dust-related buildings. This one's going to get completed soon. That's going to help a lot. Alright, we got another technology done. I already took care of that. Okay, and then you asked about Nis. Oh, go away. Fine, show me the location. Got a lot of these. Alright. Well, he managed to uncover that entire one and is heading down this direction now. Okay, back to what I was trying to show you. Nis. So, the reason that my food went to -39 is because the outpost is pulling food from this system, and by activating the influence booster on the outpost, it's doubling the food that it's drawing. So now, instead of pulling 60 food per turn and having some left over so that this system can keep growing, it's pulling so much that it's actually running negative. If it runs negative for too long, it can actually pull a population from this system, which kind of sucks and is not something you always want to do. But in this case, I wanted to do it mainly because 50 turns is just too long to wait for an outpost to finish. So that's why we did it. Also, we got a fleet, and this is one of the reasons why this is so negative, is this fleet of really crappy ships. Is there anything we could do with these really crappy ships? Possibly. We could waste 6 turns of time moving them over here to start sieging, Um, those ships have 300 manpower on them. So they're not really enough to do an invasion, but they would be helpful in an invasion. But the ships themselves are pretty bad. Which means that, as I usually do, I'll just sell them, get the manpower back, get the money back, and build my own. We could do that, except that Hydrus doesn't have very much population or food. And because we're running that booster, we could see what it looks like. Let's take a look. So if we change this to Hydrus, what does that look like? That actually kind of works. We'll see what it looks like next turn, because some of these things may update slightly differently, kind of like what we saw earlier. Also, I have enough money to run this, which would be good, except I'm still running negative, and I don't want to burn through all my cash right here. This can now merge with the hero, and this settler ship can be broken off, and let's send this settler ship to there. That'll take him a little while to get over there, but once he does, he'll be able to uncover an entirely new constellation. This guy's going to take care of the last part of this one, and then we're going to need some probes somewhere in order to get more constellations uncovered. The other thing we could do is potentially talk to some of our whatchamacallums, other factions, and see if we can't get a map from one of them.
Yeah?
It's like
Why are you knocking around?
map sharing with these guys.
Oh.
Yeah, see, they're not interested in that. But something like this, if we were willing to throw a little bit of resources at them, we could probably get, and that would give us a whole bunch of information on the galaxy. We can see that they've been really busy moving around. NIS is positive now, yeah. NIS is up to 81 food. And Hydrus is, yeah, see, this didn't update earlier when we looked at it. So Hydrus is at minus 15. But minus 15 is fine. This will be quick, so we can get shipments of food here faster than running them this way across the open space. Alright, so this is about 2 hours in. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. We only got to turn 40, which is unfortunate. I was hoping to get a little further. Actually, I'm not going to end the video exactly just yet. We're going to do one more turn, and I'm going to start a colony here. So we'll do one more turn and get through this. Do I care who gets support? Not really, because we're only going to run industrialist laws. What I really want, though, is the industrialists to stay as the primary, so I am going to throw my support behind them again. And then we'll see so many. That is exactly what I did not want to happen. Son of a bitch. Well, that ruins my ability to... so dumb. I really hate the pacifist party. It's such a garbage party, and there's almost nothing you can do to prevent it from taking over when you just play the dumb game. There's not that many things that we did that should be contributing to pacifist behavior. Our faction isn't pacifist. Most of our minor civs aren't pacifist. Just because I threw a couple of points of influence at minor civs. So irritating. So now we got to wait a whole 20 frickin' turns to try to get the industrialists back in power. Ugh. And there you go. just as predicted, this is now gone and we can now colonize this. And we won't be able to run any of those, but we can run food from Shaddai, which should be pretty good. This hero leveled up, so we'll go ahead and grab that. Modernization and drone networks. Yeah, laws were cancelled. Thanks for nothing, stupid government. The government in this game
Your offensiveness drives Horatio to
is so close to being really good, and yet so far away. It just ticks me off. Alright, what do we have over here? We got tech being done. I can't colonize this. This is almost full, so this is becoming a priority. So let's go ahead and find arid worlds, and let's throw that in front of the queue so I don't forget about it, so we can keep this system growing. And then once we have that, both of these actually look pretty good because we have luxury resources here. So, okay, so that's that. I got behemoths. I haven't even started working on one yet. I do want to finish these things off. The Miners Guild would be good because we have 2 resources here. This would be good. This would be good. And we want to build a behemoth. Probably a military behemoth. But economic and scientific are both really good as well. Especially if you get the special behemoth modules. But you really have to have science to make that happen. But I think this is as good a place to stop as any. So we're probably not going to finish this quest. We can't finish our main faction quest. We're pretty angry about that. So we're just going to build a lot of military ships over the next 20 turns. And as we enter the mid-game, you're going to see us transition from this industrial powerhouse to some military might that's going to just take over this constellation, I think. Because it's pretty clear that Horatio's sort of bottled in here. He can't get past the Sophons, and he just got pushed out by me. I don't know how powerful the Lumeris are, but they got tendrils everywhere, as they usually do. They're pretty powerful. They're in the 300s. It might be worth forming an alliance with them temporarily. Plus, we might be able to trade with them, which would be good because we're connected to them in some ways. So I'll consider that and maybe just running rampant this way. It's not generally a good idea to have wars on 2 fronts in this game. So, building system improvements to boost the industrialist party is one thing we can do. Part of the problem is I built all of those, like every one that we had, and it still didn't matter. So there were a lot of where is it at? Can I get to it? Yeah. We built a lot of these buildings in a lot of different places. We built a lot of these buildings. I think I built a few of those over the last 20 turns in all of our new, and it didn't matter. It's just really frustrating. I don't feel like we did enough. Like, you can look at all of our events. So, of all the things that we did, buyouts were used. So buyouts are apparently a pacifist thing. That doesn't make sense to me. Meeting major empires. Minor civs praise. That one we did do quite a bit. We did meet a bunch of minor civs. I don't remember what pacifist technologies we unlocked. We lost a battle. Yes, we did. And we assisted minor civs. So it was basically all the minor civ stuff that we did. But still, like, we did way more of this stuff, and it doesn't seem to weigh enough, which is frustrating. We should have definitely kept these. The other thing that's annoying, and I don't know if this is a bug or not, but it seems to be the case. And you guys can tell me if you see anything different about this, but every time I've ever had a situation where my preferred event, my preferred political ideology or whatever, gets a tie with the pacifist, the tie always goes to the pacifist. Like, every single time. And it feels like if there's a tie in any situation, it should always go to whatever your main population's political ideology is. But that doesn't seem to be how it works. And if there was one thing that I would do in a mod for this game, it would be to make this more clear and fix these little details that seem to not make any sense. Like, if I've been scientist for the last 2 elections and then all of a sudden we tie with a pacifist like we did in this last one, it should stay scientist or it should stay industrialist, in my opinion. But anyways, 2 hours in, time to take a break, and I will pick this up probably tomorrow for another 20 or so turns, and we'll get a little bit further in. I want to show off some of the military stuff. So each planet does, but every planet grows industrialists. So I guess one of the things that we could look at is that, like, some of these minor civs that we picked up could be more pacifist in nature. These are religious, industrialist. Not a single one of these are pacifist based minor civs. That one is the most diverse. These guys are religious. All industrialists there. Yeah, I don't know. It's really bizarre to me that pacifist seems to take over your government so many times, even when you're attempting not to be pacifist. But either way, I'll be back on tomorrow, so join me tomorrow around the same time if you would like to join the live stream and chat with me. Otherwise, feel free to leave comments in the video. This has been The Nose Plays, and you guys have a wonderful day.